Why is it that all Romans have their names with us at the end?
Susumus.
Like all the Romans to start off like Lucius Maximus, Ubilius, Commodus,
Commodus,
Romulus.
Maximus, Romulus, Remus.
Panos, try to say your name with in Roman. Panos.
Panosus.
Is it Panusus or Panus?
No,
It's Pamus.
that's just anus with a P at the front.
Okay, welcome to Shade Cinema Podcast. I'm Chris, and these are my lovely guests. We are a packed house today. We have two new guests today. Introduce yourselves.
Unfortunately, my name is Luca.
That's your name, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yes.
So, what would be your Roman name?
My Roman name would be Lucas.
Lucaus.
First name, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
And you are
I am Nishan, and in Roman it would be Nishanus, as you can say.
Mishanus.
Yeah,
Nishus.
Nishus, I like that better. Yeah.
Reintroduce yourselves, esteemed guests.
Okay, so Alex, but for today's episode, Aleximus.
Panos, but for today I'm Panodus.
Panodus.
There's two of them.
That was so loud.
Okay, and today we are going to dive deep into Gladiator. Now, we're just going to give brief thoughts about the film. Luca, you could start off.
About the film itself,
Yeah.
honestly, probably one of the most memorable movies in cinematic history. Obviously, it just set a big tone for other movies, and in the sense of acting and the storyline and everything, and yeah, it was just.
What's one thing you like about the movie?
Obviously, I'm a big Roman fan. Obviously, I'm part Italian, so just the Roman era, like all that is just amazing to me. And just the fact, the way they portrayed it and everything, and for its time, like obviously. Well then. No, but genuinely, like obviously you could think like this was a long time ago, like this is an old movie, and
Yeah.
for how old it is, like today you could still sit and enjoy it.
Like it still lives up to the day.
It still lives up to the day. Like it's incredible.
This day, sorry.
To this day, yeah, you're right. But yeah, it's just a part of history, and talking about obviously maybe not to exact history, but in a sense of what it was to be a gladiator.
Okay, Alex, what's one thing you liked about the movie?
Honestly, good points to what Luca said. But what I like the most about the movie is like I like the fact that there's a lot of like the soundtrack is very heavy, and like it's like throughout the movie, like the different like soundtrack in the back, the scores, and like all the scenery, the visuals. It's like he said, it's a classic. Like it'll never get old, no matter when you'll watch it. It'll always be like a perfect movie. Like, and you can rewatch it as many times as you want, and it just gets better and better the more you watch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Every time you watch it, you find something that you didn't see the first time, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Panos?
I think it's the last like modern epic film. Like when I say epic, I mean like when you watch it, you feel like this sense of majesty and like how grandiose the whole thing is. Like, for instance, I think it's like the last big budget like blockbuster film that really popped off and became popular, that like, let's say they had to get in a crowd of, I don't know, 2,000 people. They actually spent that budget on hiring 2,000 extras instead of just CGIing a whole bunch of things in. Or anytime you see the animals or like any of the gore, a lot of it, it's like the last big budget practical effect epic. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Lord of the Rings was like around that time as well. Like
Pirates of the Caribbean too.
Those as well. Those are very similar, like epics. And I think Gladiator is one of the last few of those era that really reached those heights. And recently, you can say there's films that are epic, but they're mostly like just CGI fests.
They're epic.
But it's like in the sense as well, like obviously they had to hire, let's say, 2,000 extras, but also all their costumes, everything is just
Everything's handmade. Like
Yeah,
all
that's
the
what makes a
costume, the
movie
practical
timeless.
effects. Exactly.
Like it's tangible. So like it's like no matter what, you know, like it's not gonna age. The film is never gonna show its age. You know what I mean? Because they avoided using like any shortcuts in filming something that like that big of a project.
They put in the effort to really have more like live action, actual like live piece stuff in the movie, like animals and people and whatever. I'm sure all the tigers and the giraffes were all real in the movie. So I agree. Nishan?
Well, to be honest, it was one of the biggest movies I had seen as a kid when it came out, and I didn't go to the movies, but it passed on TVA. Yeah. I would compare it like to Troy. It's a big movie, and like you said, they didn't take any shortcuts. The action, the armies, almost the Colosseum too. It all looked real. The animals, the costumes, the music was touching, and I think just the story in itself. There's nothing that you can. I don't know, like you can.
Like you could relate to it. Like you feel
Exactly.
emotional towards the characters.
You feel the emotions and deep down, you know, and he's not that kind of hero that you would expect to see in a normal, you know, movie nowadays. The hero you know exactly, but he's thrown into this path, whether like he didn't want it, you know. So it's an interesting thing to see compared to other movies now.
I mean, like you said, the hero nowadays, but also back in the day, like the stories were always almost the same in the sense that it was like the hero and the villain, and I guess the plot line was very different to what people were used to as well. So people were so intrigued and interested right from the start.
Yeah. So those are interesting points. My opinion is I just really like the era. I love the feel of like Rome and the visceral gutter, like the guttural feeling of being in an era where death is so prevalent and death is seen as something that's like a glorious thing to achieve to. And looking at like all the slaves and stuff, although it's not like the most historically accurate movie, because in the movie they say that Marcus Aurelius conquered a bunch of the world, but in reality what happened is that he just defended the northern borders, and like Maximus didn't really exist, and Commodus was always supposed to be emperor. There was never a point where Commodus was not going to be emperor, but he still ended up acting like a jackass. But he didn't die in the Colosseum. In real life, he died because his like bodyguard or his trainer like drowned him in his bathtub.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
What a glorious.
So what a glorious way to die. But he like Marcus Aurelius was the last great emperor of Rome, and then you see a lot of like the venerance and the reveredness of his rule, like seen in his in the way his subjects see him and look at him, because you can tell he's lived for a very long time. Yeah. And that kind of brings to my next point. But before we get there, you motherfuckers better like the fucking video.
Come on,
do it now!
Come on, like the video.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I'm gonna fucking pull up this sword.
Is this not why you are here?
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I don't think they are.
Not yet, at least.
Not yet. But we'll get there.
We'll get there, yeah.
Is this not why you are here?
No, but like obviously it was not perfectly. There's obviously some details that were not exact, right? But that's besides the fact. You know, like you can't get everything perfect and correct in certain movies that are aged years back. But
of course, like obviously if everything was historically accurate, it wouldn't have been as fun.
Yeah, obviously.
But yeah, like it still made for an incredibly compelling story. It still made for an incredibly compelling characters and all that. And it kind of brings, and like what I said before about the legacy of Marcus Aurelius, that brings me to the whole point of this, which is the dichotomy between love and legacy in the movie. So the two things I noticed the most about the movie was they were always talking about two things: love and legacy. They were always only talking about those two things. They always talked about for the glory of Rome, and then how can I say this? For the glory of Rome, and for
Self-glory also.
For self-glory, for
Your legacy.
like your legacy, what you leave behind, and all that stuff. He like, for example, Marcus Aurelius at the beginning when he was talking to Maximus, what he was saying was, am I going to be remembered as the warrior, the philosopher, the tyrant? Am I And he wanted to turn Rome into a republic because he saw it as the best way for Rome to move forward. So he wanted to maintain the legacy of Rome because he loved Rome above all else. Now, the other side of that coin is Commodus. Commodus was the one who only sought love above all else. He rarely sought legacy. His legacy was the love he was going to get from his people. He wanted to be remembered as a beloved figure above all else because he felt like as if Marcus Aurelius did not put in the effort to actually love him as a son and saw Maximus more as a son. And you even see that in certain clips. It's like
at the beginning of the movie, when his father is like there walking with holding Maximus's
Maximus.
arm, and he's walking in the trenches. You remember that?
Yeah.
And then as soon as he comes, "Oh father, let me help you," he's like, "Oh, it's okay, I'm leaving," and he feels like so like embarrassed that like his father doesn't want to spend at all time with him.
Maximus was the son he never got, but in a way he kind of arranged for it to be a successor, but it didn't work out as we saw the movie.
Yeah, it's like so in the movie he doesn't succeed. Even though he's reluctant at first, as soon as he finds out that Marcus Aurelius died and found out that it might have been Commodus the one who killed him, he immediately moved forward. Now Commodus did the most logical thing for him to do, which is to eliminate his opponents because he lived in Rome for a very long time and he knew the game. So I don't know what you guys think about the love and legacy dichotomy. So like, what do you think is like some of the things that clarify the dichotomy in the movie? What would you say?
I don't know about in the movie, but I know that like obviously in Roman, like in the Roman aspect of things, legacy was the number one thing, right? Like it was always about to be the greatest fighter, the greatest emperor, the greatest everything, you know? So like it was always about being the number one, like obviously like society today, but that was their number one thing, you know? Like if you were not that, you were nobody in a sense, right? So
yeah.
Obviously, and you saw, like you said, Commodus was more entertained about being the most loved instead of the most known, and by being obviously the most loved and wanted to be loved by his people, in a sense, that's probably the way to get the biggest legacy.
So you're saying like the love that he would get from the people would lead to a greater legacy?
Yeah,
eventually.
exactly.
Okay, so his way of reaching legacy is to be beloved by his people,
Yeah,
instead of actually leaving something behind.
exactly.
Yeah, because he wasn't. You remember when he's talking to his dad? He's like, "I've done everything. I know all these things. Like, I might be different, but like people love me. Like, I want to like show that like Rome is so great and blah blah blah." But he wasn't a good general, or like he wasn't a good son. Like he wasn't good in like other aspects. So the only way he could convince everybody to love him, or like to leave a legacy, I guess, was for people to love him. Be like, "Oh, Commodus is this great emperor that like give us everything we wanted," and all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Like the best example I could think of nowadays was like, or in this generation was obviously a common talk right now, Queen Elizabeth, right? Like, Princess Diana was the most beloved. Everyone loved her. She was nice to her people. She was nice to everybody, and everyone was in love with her. And when she died, like you could see the Buckingham Palace there was so many flowers you couldn't even walk in the street. There was probably like 100 to 200,000 bouquets of flower, and obviously the Queen died this week, and you saw there was maybe like a couple hundred like on the side of the fence of the
Buckingham Palace. But I think she just like more universally respected the Queen than like her legacy is much greater than Princess Diana's. But like you could see that the love that Princess Diana got was like, it's kind of like a star that burns brightest lives half as long kind of thing.
Yeah.
In a way, Commodus wanted his funeral to be like Diana's, full of people, full of love, full of flowers.
But that's the funny part, because at the end when Maximus slays Commodus,
they leave him behind.
They're carrying his body, and then he just kind of like there like just like
lying there doing nothing. No, but obviously in Roman culture and Roman history, it's a bit different, right? Like although he was like the first emperor to ever show love instead of like power. And
Who, Commodus?
yeah,
Well,
in a sense,
like he it's not that I don't think he showed love, but I think he was like trying to get love
Yeah,
more.
Yeah.
I agree. Like he wanted to seek the love of the people
Yeah.
more
That's
than
why-
like the legacy that his father was trying to leave behind or what his father wanted. Like he was like, I want to be emperor and I want everyone to love me.
Yeah.
Like that was his
Like
goal.
his-
Because he wasn't loved by so usually I think it's like a psychology thing.
Mhm.
Usually when you're not loved by the people around you, like your closest family members or whatever, you seek that love from someone else. So I think that's what happened with Commodus in his case.
Yeah, he seeked it from the people.
He seeked it from the people and from his sister.
Oh,
Sweet
yeah.
home Alabama.
He looked at his sister and went,
Baby girl.
Baby girl.
The whole movie is just daddy issues.
I mean, if you look at it that way, yeah, technically.
Daddy.
so you're saying the whole movie's daddy issues. Can you elaborate?
So Maximus and Commodus are like, they're like the main opposing forces in the film. They're both dealing with the legacy of their father figure imparted on them, and we see it manifest in two different ways, right? You see the influence Marcus Aurelius, or you see the lessons that Maximus drew from Marcus Aurelius and how that affects his trajectory through the film, and then you also see the same thing in Commodus, but it has like an adverse effect. He learned the wrong lessons by being the son of the emperor, and it resulted in a lot of like just daddy issues and affection and intimacy issues. And we kind of see why Maximus is more of like the successor character to Marcus Aurelius in the film as opposed to Commodus, because they're both processing his passing and what he left behind differently, because it was different for both of them. And you could say the same thing for like different parts of Rome as well, or
Yeah.
like different parts of the world at that time, how Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, the legacy he left behind for all of them to deal with once he kicked the bucket.
Yeah, there was one scene. Remember when Marcus Aurelius offered the position of emperor to Maximus?
Yeah.
Maximus didn't want it at first. He's like, with all my heart, no. That's what he said. And I wrote this down. Was the ones best suited for power are humble and reluctant to take it.
Exactly.
So he didn't want the power, but he knew that Commodus wanted the power, and he knew that his power corrupted, like the power of the emperor would have corrupted Commodus ultimately, and he knew that Maximus is humble enough to be willing to give away the power of the emperorship to the Senate at some point in time later on. So Nishan, you have an idea on that?
Well, Commodus was already rotten to the core from the start. From what we can see, there's little hints of it in his mannerism, his character, and we do see it early on, like he kills his own dad, daddy issues again. And
Daddy.
like you said, your quote was very good. You need to be reluctant to take power because power corrupts you.
Yeah.
And even if you are the best of the people around to take it, it does bring you down whether you want it or not. And Commodus was just the wrong person to lead at that point for such a big empire. He was like, he shouldn't have been there. And that's why I believe Maximus kind of had the Ned Stark complex. I think he should have taken the position. He should have put his honor
Ballsy.
aside.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, but he should have, like, first of all, he would have saved his family, or Commodus wouldn't have had the power to do what he did, and in a way he could have saved Rome in a way from whatever was coming. I'm not pro on history. I know there was many more to come, but he should have taken the power.
You could go back to that concept like of Maximus, like love and legacy. Like he put love, like the love of his family. Like he felt like his legacy was okay. Like he wanted
interesting.
He wanted to go back to, like, for him, he didn't, like, near the end, like he had achieved everything he had achieved or he wanted to achieve, and near the end, like the whole beginning of the movie, like the whole and even throughout the end of the movie or the mid movie, like he just wants to be at peace. Like he doesn't want to fight anymore. He just wants to be in his villa with his family. So the love of his family, that's why maybe he was reluctant to like take the power, because he wanted love. You wanted to be surrounded with his loved ones. Like, you feel like he accomplished what he had. And ultimately, that led to like his family dying
But-
and all that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
also like he was Chris was mentioning, like obviously power corrupts. So imagine being or bringing your family into power. How could it affect your family as well?
Well,
Yeah, they're just
power
farmers.
only corrupts the people who shouldn't be wielding power. So you saw Marcus Aurelius; it didn't really corrupt him, right? And once you saw Maximus, kind of understood, like, it kind of ties into what you were saying. The people who don't want power are generally the best suited to actually wield it. But they also their pitfall normally is not understanding, like, not wanting to take the responsibility of doing it. And then when that responsibility falls on someone who isn't there for the right intentions, everything kind of goes to shit. And so you kind of see him learn that lesson throughout the film too. That's why he gets a little more ballsy and more aggressive and more like, you know,
Ballsy.
yeah, he gets more ballsy
Yeah.
as the film progresses because he kind of learned his lesson. You can't just not want power. Sometimes it is your responsibility to take it because someone else is gonna fuck it up.
Yeah.
And you're selfish at that point also,
For
or
not
you're
taking
not
it.
fulfilling your duty.
So you're saying it's selfish for someone who's reluctant to get power to take power because
Well, in
it
that
might lead to,
scenario,
or in certain scenarios because it might lead to
to
Yeah,
work.
it's
like
selfish
worse.
sometimes if they don't do it. Nowadays, we live in a very individualistic world, but I believe that generally you do have a duty to your, not just your family, but your community and just like, you know, the world around you in general. So when you are the best equipped to be doing something, I think the pitfalls of it, of not taking that power and living up to what people are expecting of you, sometimes is actually selfish, because if someone else, because if the job is like super important and it gets relegated to someone else, then and it goes horribly, it's kind of on you. It's that whole like with great power comes great responsibility thing,
It's your
where
duty.
when your power is your ability, let's say your capabilities to serve your community, and then you don't do it, and then the bad things happen. They happen because of you.
I mean, listen,
It's-
I do agree with you, but maybe like to look at it as another way. Yeah, maybe it is his duty, but obviously his love maybe for his family
was more
overcomes
important
that.
than the legacy.
Yeah, than his legacy and maybe even the legacy of Rome. And so for him, like obviously like he was lucky to become humble, but obviously like Commodus wasn't, and he didn't learn that. And so obviously because they were in a position of power, like doesn't mean you're gonna learn that humbleness. And maybe for his family, he didn't want to put them in that situation where they obviously had to learn to be humble because the power is there, right? They're the most powerful people
In the world.
in the
The
world.
most powerful empire.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
completely understandable to not want to do that, but it's still
It's your duty in a
the
sense,
wrong
yeah.
call. Yeah,
But for someone who maybe loves their love is more important than legacy, they choose love, and although it is maybe not the right decision for the whole world, it is for them.
But love can be like, it depends of how big you're seeing it. Like
Mhm.
there's small love, like I'm talking small love like in the range, like family and friends and everything. But there can also be love for your people. You know, Maximus was already beloved. He's a general. He has a lot of success. He could have been an amazing emperor, you know. And of course, yeah, it comes with risks. But imagine you already have that. You have the people supporting you. You have the means. You're the emperor also wants you. You know, like
Yeah.
you have the best CV. Okay?
But the thing is, like, obviously, like, I've learned this in life, right? Let's say you're given three things, right? Let's say in our lives, right? It's social life, right, grades, and then sleep, right? So although you want all three, doesn't mean you can have all three, right? So you choose, obviously, let's say sleep and grades, but you don't have a social life. So in the sense here is, okay, yeah, like maybe he's the best suited, but by becoming emperor, obviously he won't have enough time for his family, and then therefore he loses
the love.
the love from his family because he's not there, because it's his duty to be.
By gaining the love of the people.
Exactly.
He loses the
So
love of the family. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So there's a balance, you would
There's
say.
a balance that he obviously he had to choose, and I think that's why he chose his family, because he knew that although he would still love them, like by taking his like father's position, or it's not his father, his
His adoptive, I guess his adoptive father.
yeah, the position, right? He would have to get the love of the people.
exactly.
Daddy
It was
issues.
coming.
Everyone was
What are
thinking
you
it.
doing, Step Emperor?
Oh,
I'm stuck in my
can you
shit.
pick up that coin for me?
I'm gonna come.
But yeah, like obviously there's choice that you need to. Like there's always choice in life, right? And I think his choice maybe was not the right for the people, but for
For the love of his family,
It
it was the
was,
right one.
yeah.
And over the legacy. Like
Yeah.
the
It
struggle.
was so right that they got fucking shanked.
but it's
What do you
so
mean?
bad.
The family.
Who got
Yeah.
shanked? Oh, what? Like his family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Maximus's family?
Yeah.
Maximus
What do you
family.
mean?
But like his
Why?
Yeah, clarify, please.
Why?
No,
'Cause you're saying his family got killed. Like that's a good thing.
No, I'm being sarcastic. I'm saying
Oh.
obviously he made the wrong call for his family
Yeah.
because like sometimes it's like because he has to make a sacrifice anyway, right?
Yeah.
In this case, you could say, oh, he's sacrificing the opportunity for power. That's so noble, but really, like, and this is like the
He
point
shot
I'm
himself
getting
in the
at.
foot.
He shot himself in the foot by pursuing actually the more selfish option.
So-
he thought, like most people would look at someone rejecting a position of power and say, "Oh, that's so selfless," or like, "How noble," you know? And people see people who take power as greedy. But sometimes it's like, no, it's actually the most selfless thing to decide to lead because of the personal sacrifice that you make.
But he did decide to take the power once he
Eventually.
saw eventually. Yeah,
Yes.
but initially no, he didn't.
Yeah,
but
and
but
he
if he
would've
moved,
saved his-
but
yeah,
if he
I'm saying
moved,
eventually he
but-
learned the right lesson, but,
but it-
like
but
too
it-
little,
but-
too late.
But yeah, but when he decided to move eventually, like it cost him dearly.
Yeah.
Because
It was too
like
late.
like it was too late
Yeah.
because by that point Commodus was already deemed as
Yeah.
emperor.
Well, he
like-
made the right choice
But-
at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if
See,
going
I'm
back,
gonna counter that because I don't think it was the right choice at the wrong time. Is because if let's say for example, it's in the sense that like, yeah, at that time it was good for him because he didn't have a family, so there was that love was not there anymore. So obviously he could put his time to become the emperor. Then meaning that was the right time, but obviously, like back then, like whether his family was there and he saw that the Commodus's power was corrupted. Like again, he would have had to choose, and like that choice would have been there still.
It was a win-lose situation
Yeah.
in both
but I
ways.
agree with Panos. If he had not been not selfish, but like if he had made a different choice, he would have made the love, like he would have saved the love of his family, and he would have kept the legacy of Rome.
But who knows that though? Maybe he would have still lost the love of his family, so it was a lose-lose either way.
Maybe, but
Like I think so. So it was
But-
Maximus.
but
if we take the-
What?
Maximus was the
Maximus? What, Maximus or
not Maximus, the emperor
Marcus
before.
Aurelius.
Marcus Aurelius.
Marcus Aurelius. Sorry, my bad. I think that obviously like obviously Maximus' family was murdered because he knew that Maximus would have been the best fit in a sense. So he killed the family to
And if he killed him, it would be way too suspicious.
yeah, obviously, but in a
Well,
way like
they tried to kill him, but then they tried to kill his family also.
Yeah, they took him out
Yeah,
first.
But you see how it ended up working though?
Mhm.
How it ended up working out? Because think about it. If Commodus's plan had gone through and
They wouldn't have touched his
Max-
family.
Hmm?
If they had killed him early,
Yeah, but then
they wouldn't have touched his
Rome,
family.
like people in this, like the Senate or whoever, get super sus.
But they were gonna kill him. They
they were
brought him in
trying-
the
yeah, you're
forest.
right.
It's Maximus who fought them and escaped.
and he
Yeah,
escaped.
Maximus technically would have died.
No,
And
I'm
his
saying,
family
Maximus and his
I'm saying
family
in the
would've been
long
fucked.
run,
Yeah.
if he would have died, like at this point, forget the family even exists. If just Maximus, like if he died,
Yeah, he
and
would have been
It
sus.
worked out. Commodus's reign probably would have been screwed anyway.
Well,
Because
because
all his men would have been like, wait, you killed our general, and a lot of more people
Yeah.
would have rallied.
Yeah.
Our general
Well,
that
well-
just gave us a huge victory at the beginning
yeah,
of the
well,
movie.
Exactly.
well, not just they don't know maybe that he died, or they probably said,
How
oh,
he died.
he died of like an illness or whatever, but then they
Like
killed
But-
him.
it's like
like-
whatever,
like
the
Senate
Romans are
wouldn't buy
smart
it.
though. It's half their life is politicking in Rome anyway. They'd know, and emperors drop like flies in Roman
Yeah, back-
history.
at that-
If they
at
were
that
not,
point
they
in
would have
time-
killed him too.
And here's the thing: even if Maximus took power, what would have happened to the rest of Rome? Because chances are not everyone would have recognized Rome or Maximus's rule as legitimate because they would have just seen him as a
he's
usurper.
bastard child.
Well, he's not a bastard. He's just a general. He's just some
Yeah,
general.
he's not a.
That happened a lot where generals came into power and they were,
Not accepted.
yeah, they weren't accepted, or even parts where they were accepted. Like look
Mhm.
at Julius Caesar. He was a general who
was.
became powerful enough, but he went through the backstabbing and all that stuff of the.
He played the
consulship.
game.
He played the game, but
Maximus wouldn't have been that kind of guy, I think.
Yeah, because Marcus Aurelius is really like the one emperor who like refused to fold into that.
Yeah,
that
so
whole BS.
Yeah, well, not just that, but also he would have given power to the Senate. But what if there were other generals who wanted to establish their rule over Rome? Because it happened a lot where an emperor would die, and then they would just declare, like an army in the east would declare that general emperor, and then like, okay, now that general has to march on Rome. Then they would have to fight against whoever, and then they would have to like either lose the battle or then eventually win the battle and then suppress a bunch of people. It was a constant cycle that Rome went through. It's just that eventually what happened was it began to crumble because they allowed a lot of barbarians to come into Rome.
Yeah, definitely people who the humbleness was not there, right?
Yeah, well, the people who didn't really like Rome being entered into
decadence.
Rome and then entered into the army and who were only loyal to the money of Rome instead of the actual to the glory of Rome. So they ended up screwing themselves over. But that's a story for another time. I think when it comes to humility and reluctance to take power, Maximus, and this is very interesting because it's an American-made movie, I think.
Yes.
So it's an American-made movie, and Maximus draws
Ridley
great.
Scott, no?
He draws great parallels to George Washington, I think. If you look at it, he's a general who was slated to become essentially the ruler of the land. If you look at it, like what happened with George Washington is he was a British general who defected to the American cause, and then after the American Revolution was won, George Washington was chosen as the great as the first president. Like he was voted unanimously, but he didn't want the position, and he served the 2 terms. Then he relinquished it. That's why there was the 2 terms thing.
2 terms, yeah.
So what happened?
And it wasn't even a law for a long time. They just kept doing the 2 terms max thing out of respect for George Washington. That's how much
I think
respected his
I think
legacy.
that was until like the early 1900s. I think Teddy Roosevelt tried to run a 3rd time. He failed. I believe, and I think FDR ran. I think.
Well, they have wartime provisions. That's why.
Yeah, well, he ran like 3 or 4 times or whatever. But like, and then after that, I think it was Harry Truman who established the whole like it's maximum 2 terms no matter what. And then so
back to the movie.
Yeah, back to the movie. But it's interesting because Washington like was also a general who was reluctant to take take power, and he could have become like a king almost.
Yeah,
but he didn't. He decided to just be like, yeah, well, whatever. I'll do this for now, and then he became
definitely. And I think you can definitely pull a bit more out of that as well. Like maybe the 2 terms as well prevents that that power trip, right? That
struggle.
But we were speaking before. What was the word? Corruption of power, because obviously now we're talking about real life, but maybe those 2 terms were set so that someone who, let's say Trump or someone else, like for example,
another like a president,
president who all he cared about was power. Like 2 years, and that was not enough to obviously.
Corrupt. You're not stuck with them for like 20, 30 years until they die.
That's it. There's no, they can't. That corruption of power is not. There's not long enough to be corrupt with power.
Yeah, I agree. So, but in a way that was like the whole 2 terms thing. That's George Washington's legacy, alongside obviously the whole fucking country. But that was George Washington's legacy, and in the same way as Maximus tried to eventually establish his legacy to bring back the Roman Senate. So he constantly got into contact with not constantly, but he got into contact with the senators like Gracchus, I think, and Gracchus was trying to establish kind of like reestablish the power of the Roman Senate above the emperor. Mm-hmm. My guess is that they were probably going to rule it like through a constitutional kind of thing, in the same way as Britain does.
Yeah.
But half the Senate was still against.
They
were on Commodus' side.
Yeah, they were probably gonna sack like half the Senate.
Yeah,
but
they have to clean up,
Yeah, but that's the dangerous part is that like a tyrannical thing? Would you say that, let's say there's a tyrant in control, and then someone new steps in, but like half of the government body is pro that tyrant. If you sack the pro tyrant individuals, is that like a tyrannical thing to do, or was it better just to have them be voted out?
Voted out better.
Why?
Because if you sack them out, then you're basically doing tyranny itself as well, because you're just deciding like these people gotta go.
Okay.
It is a bad action, but some will argue that it's for the greater good, you know. But like,
I mean, it's definitely hard. Like, it's a tough thing.
life.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough thing to talk about as well.
Tough
Like,
situation, yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, back then you didn't have a democratic process the way we do today.
Yeah.
So when you talk about like, trying to vote them out the right way, I feel like back then a lot of the time they resorted to violence just
Poison.
because
there was
they
no right way
felt
back
they
in the
had
day.
no other choice.
Yeah. Well,
Violence. By violence, I just mean like trying to kill people off. So if you
Yeah.
want to do it
Well,
through
yeah.
subterfuge and poison them, yeah, but like it's still, I mean, you're still killing someone. That makes you.
blood and
You're
glory.
basically
were-
silencing people by just making them never talk again.
Yeah, but also it depends to what extent you're going. Because like, let's say, I don't know, now we live in North America, like this continent wouldn't be what it is, and like we wouldn't live the lives we live if there wasn't like the American Revolution, the French Revolution, all
history.
those kinds of things where they had to take up arms and
Yeah.
like, you know, and kill some people to like, you know, prosper afterwards. It's just what's the line where do you draw the line?
the
It depends
silver
what they do
lining, right?
after.
So-
yeah. Okay.
If you kill like these, let's say these corrupt people who are supporting a tyrant, you kill the tyrant and you kill his supporters, and then after that you
Go the
install
same
a
path,
democratic process, then no, obviously you're not guilty of the same things that they were doing. You know?
But like let's say at that time, right? There wasn't really like you said, there isn't really a democratic process. In fact, the way they were voted in was often through the wealthy.
yeah, it was an
So
oligarchy.
It was an oligarchy. So it's less of a they call it democracy, but it's not really democracy there because the Roman Senate was dominated by people who were wealthy, because those were the only ones who were like they would essentially take bribes and stuff from people on the side. So I think in order to eliminate those corrupt individuals, you have to like kind of eliminate the upper class in that case. But is it that really like the best option and best way to go, because they're the ones who kind of own all the businesses?
Yeah, it's kind of like, even that is hard. Like, let's say you do that today, like the top 2% of the world owns pretty much 3/4 of the world, you know.
Yeah.
Like they own all the oil, all the building, like everything. So like you start, like obviously like what we're trying to do now, like cut tax and more of that, but like it doesn't work because they own and they take care of let's say all the,
Yeah, like for example, people try to tax a bunch of millionaires a lot. So in the States, what they do is they bury dead relatives on their land, and what that does is makes that land tax exempt because it's considered like a cemetery.
there's always
So
ways
there's
around.
always ways to
Yeah.
counterbalance everything, because there isn't like a because people are taxed so much,
Mhm.
like they often like vote people, like the elite get people into office so that they can make tax exemptions for certain things, so that the
thing,
people
there's always ways around.
yeah, so
whatever
that
you're trying to do.
there's always a way around
Mhm.
the way to like
The system.
the
Yeah.
system to spend less money on taxes.
Listen, the rich always stay rich because they knew how to get rich, and they always find solutions, right? In
Yeah.
the sense that, like, I know a big thing is art, and I know that
Yeah, they store a lot of money in art.
yeah, and I know even back in the day that was a big thing as well. But what they do is obviously, let's say they make a certain amount of money, they find this glass, and well, they deem it worth $100 million. But now, like, I don't get taxed on this art that I bought. That I donated to his foundation, right?
He's
Like,
the one. Yeah.
exactly. So like they bought an art for $100 million, right? In a sense, they bought it for $100 million, and then they donated it to a company. But so all that money obviously didn't spend. He spent maybe $10 for this glass, but there's always a ways around, you know, and
And the rich will always be there. Like, you
Yeah,
can get rid of
just-
them. There just will be another one. going out
Like
there.
look at like I think it was, I forget who it was who said this, but they said the rich, like for example, the government, for example, during COVID gave a bunch of stimulus checks and whatever. Now where did all that money go?
where did it come from?
Yeah, where did it come from the sky? But like but
From trees, what do you mean?
went
Bro,
in my
I have one in
pockets.
my backyard.
yeah, it went like it came from the sky, but where did it go? Like most people, a bunch, probably like 50% of people saved it. Maybe 10% of people
I
in
would
that.
say even less. I think 5% people saved it.
Maybe, or something like that. Or
Yeah.
let's say 50% of people saved it, 10% of people
Blew it all.
no, like
regular
invested it
expenses.
maybe. And then 40% of people probably just spent it on
Yeah.
stuff,
I mean,
money that just went back to the rich
to the
anyways.
government and the rich. Yeah.
So, but even if you invest money into companies, who owns those companies? The rich.
Exactly. So there's always a hole, right? Like, I don't know. It's just like, in a sense, even the money sorry about that. The money we received, like, let's say I took $8,000, I still have to pay in taxes back $4,000. So half of what I took. So it's in a sense like a lot of it as well is it's a bit fraudulent in a sense. They knew that they were gonna tax you back that 4,000, but we didn't know in a sense. Obviously, so I took 8,000, I spent 8,000. Now I owe you 4,000. I don't have that 4,000, right?
Yeah.
So now they found that there's obviously, if I don't pay you the 4,000,
Then like you
So
get
it's like, are you cutting me a
Fine,
check or
and-
is it a fucking loan with interest?
exactly
Yeah.
it was literally a loan with interest, but in a legal sense. Like it was just the way they did it was legally, and again, it's just the rich always find
Rich.
ways and
Even
stay
in the
rich.
past,
Yeah.
the rich stay rich, and
but
I
that's
think
what it was.
we should go back to the past.
yeah.
Back to the movie.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think there was one quote I really liked in the movie. It was, I think, at the beginning, not Commodus. Maximus was giving this speech to his soldiers. He said, "What we do in life echoes for eternity," and that's when I knew, like, yes, this movie is about legacy. Like I was like, okay, that's a good quote. And then they kept doing the legacy thing.
Even the movie starts with a wheat field,
yeah,
right? Is it?
But I
wheat
think
or
that's
its
just
brand?
a
That's symbolism for eternal life, because it shows growth, so life. Then obviously
the fields of reed.
the life it lives. Then obviously it gets chaffed, and then rebirthed. It's like they continuously just chaff the wheat, and like, you know, it's just it's a symbol of eternal life.
And it's like the ending of the movie where like you see that scene again. Like he's finally at peace. He left his legacy. He dies.
He did what he had to do.
He dies, and he's back with his family. Love.
yeah.
Listen, I do think that legacy is important, and I that was obviously their main concern back in the day was legacy, but it just, in a sense,
Like
who
legacy
cares?
is not every.
Well,
it's not everything.
here's the thing. They didn't live nearly as long as we did.
Oh,
Back-
100%.
Like, so to them it was like, okay, I only have about. I know
you have a
that
midlife crisis at 10 years old.
yeah.
like people were getting married when they were 15
Yeah,
or something like
definitely.
that. So because the men only lived for a certain amount of time because they were often drafted into the army and then they had to fight wars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the women often didn't live very long because they probably died during childbirth. So when it comes to the Romans, they always focus definitely on building a legacy because they only have so much time on Earth to make as much of a dent into the universe as possible.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Like, I understand the aspect of legacy and why obviously you want to be known forever.
Yeah.
And that's obviously
when it comes to legacy, let's look at Commodus. Commodus sees, because he sees himself as basically the emperor, he sees as his legacy kind of fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
So what he wants to do is gain as much love as possible, which is why he seeks love above all else,
Mm-hmm.
not just from his people, but from the people around him, to the point of
Doing the 100-day games, dude. He was doing that.
But in the sense that, like, again, like, remember
Commodus is like a Nazi general.
somewhat.
Like, the more you think about it, I mean, the way he invades Rome is kind of like, it's very much like the Nazi strategy of like garnering sympathy.
What do you mean
and
invade?
then,
Like, what did you say? Invades?
well, invade. I mean, like, you know, his takeover.
Yeah.
you could
Okay.
say, right?
Oh, like when he enters the
When
city?
he enters,
Yes.
with all the
Yeah.
armies and stuff, he's like, yeah, well, this is what's
He
happening.
looks at his sister and goes,
Give me what I want!
Like, first it's a show of force, and then it's almost like a nationwide Stockholm syndrome kind of thing. It's a show of force, and and everybody's kind of obliged to go along with you through, like, anyway, regardless of what you do. But then, like, they try to bait you and make you think that it's your idea that you're following them, by they slowly do kindnesses, and then, like, you know,
Yeah.
like let's say, like, the whole shtick with the gladiatorial, like,
The 100
arena.
days. He did the 100 days to appease the crowd.
Yeah, the whole that's
That's the
exact-
whole
that's
movie. Like,
literally
he
all it
literally
is.
made gladiator rings, so people forget that, like, he, like, kind of, like...
He's Joffrey.
He
King
infiltrated...
Joffrey.
Joffrey, yeah.
He infiltrated,
Bastard Joffrey.
like, basically Rome, and he,
bitch.
like Panos said, like, he kind of, like, invaded, like, you know, he, like...
He took over, literally.
He took over, and then he's like, oh, you guys are not happy, or people might not be. Oh, look at this, free gladiators.
Yeah,
Killing
yeah.
each other.
free food,
Entertainment.
And if
And then-
they,
Are you
and if
not
they-
and then whoever
Are you not entertained?
And then if anybody shows actual discontent, they just resort to violence and snuff them out. So then all you have left is the people who slowly got brainwashed into buying into your bullshit. And then they're ready to do whatever they like. Whatever you want,
And
they're
still
ready
doing
to
it.
do it for you because they know the alternative is just they're duping themselves into thinking, "Oh, I truly believe in this," because it helps them cope with doing garbage shit for you. And the real reason they do it is because if they don't, they know they're gonna get axed. So it's literally Nazi Germany.
So you're basically telling me Commodus
Of
took over.
course!
So you're basically telling me Commodus took over Rome with just his thumb?
just his thumb.
And
But-
technically with his belly, because
Big ass belly.
he squeezed his dad.
Yeah.
So
But in the sense of like
Got his grind on a bit.
honestly, I think legacy, like I was bringing before, like legacy was actually very fucking guy. He's very important, but
Maximus doesn't care.
yeah,
this
like in
point.
the sense that like it's lonely as well. Like if you think about it, like okay, yes, you're like the most known and most important person in the world, but
was
like
powerful.
most powerful, but there's no one who loves you. Like they love
Except for
you, but there's
Juba.
no one who loves you. You know what I mean? Like he was lonely. He was alone.
Yeah.
Like people acted like they loved them, but like it's like a star. You know, if you look at stars nowadays, like they're rich. They're everyone loves them, but
It's a
no
facade.
one loves them. It's a facade.
So I think someone made this point. I forget who exactly, but they said that's like how England has the Queen or now the King.
yeah.
America does, or the West, or the rest of the West, don't really have those. Instead, like you can't really put that into the president because he's a politician. Like you need someone who is symbolically representative of your nation. So instead, the people who are symbolically representative of the nation are the celebrities of the nation. Except that the celebrities often can be quite degenerate at some points.
Yeah. It's just
Directed by Ray J.
Yo, you gotta.
Wait.
no, but look, getting back at it, like in a sense, obviously
That's what he did. He got real backhand.
he went back and then forward and then back in. No, but yeah, I think it's just it's lonely and yes, okay, legacy is there, but I don't know, like yeah, okay, I'll be known for forever. Like maybe this is just my opinion, but I'll be known for forever. But like
I'm gonna love you forever.
I love you forever. But like when I was alive, no one loved me. Like in a sense of like I didn't have anybody to love or like a family or anything. So
But that wasn't Maximus's problem.
I think
He was
exactly
loved.
that's why he didn't want to rule, because he didn't want that to happen, right?
I think he already saw his legacy fulfilled
Yeah.
in his family.
But
So
that-
like in a way, when you have kids and like you get married and you have kids,
That is your
That
legacy.
is your
Yeah.
legacy in a way. But like I think people in general intrinsically want to have a greater impact on the world. So then that kind of follows up to the question that I have for you guys, which is, would you rather have love or legacy,
Love.
and
So
why?
yeah, like I guess I'll start, but like obviously I was talking about it. In my opinion, I would take love over legacy, definitely.
And why?
And yeah, I the reason why I would say that is, again, legacy. Yes, like okay, I'll be known for forever. You know, like everyone will know my name, but again, I'm dead. Who cares? I'm dead. Like
How did you live? That's
who
the
does it-
question.
who gives a fuck? I'm dead. You know what I mean? Like what legacy does it give to me? Like I'm not alive. Like so why not the time that I am alive feel loved and be surrounded by loved ones? Like I'd rather have that than any legacy.
I totally agree with Luca. Like you're dead, and like not just that. That's like personally, like I don't live to like leave down a legacy for others to be like, wow, what a great guy this guy, or what a legend this guy was. Like I wanna live my life and do whatever I want, and if I wanna be loved by my loved ones, like that's more important for me. So I totally agree with him. Like it doesn't matter. Like I wouldn't care what people think of me if I could have the love of all the people I care about deep down in my
Okay.
heart.
Panos?
Love.
That was a very French.
Why love?
Wow,
It's
love.
nice.
It
No,
gives
no,
you
but
a
in all
nice feeling.
seriousness, yeah, I mean, like, but like, I mean, I feel like I'm kind of cheating because, like, in my mind, I'm thinking that if you really love someone a lot, like, let's say you have your kids and you really raise them properly,
You'll create a
it
legacy.
is your legacy, right? So it's kind of like answering both if you say love.
Okay.
So I don't know that, but so it's like a 2-in-1 answer.
Your tadpoles are your legacy.
My Dad, I won the race. I'll be there in 9 months.
So obviously, like, yeah, I want to hear what you have to say, but
Yeah, what's up?
Scott, no. I would say like I think I would
actually
choose
the roof, but
the legacy of love. I don't know if it's hard to understand,
Well-
but like you're known.
What do you mean by that?
I know. Me too. I'm asking myself the same question. But like, okay, yeah, I would be love, but at the same time, I'm thinking about Maximus. Yeah, there's love, but like he lost that. So what's there left? Vengeance. He has to do good by those.
He loved
lost.
his men. He got the love and respect of his men.
And that's when exactly when he takes off the helmet and he's like he officially
Takes off the
states
helmet
who
and
he is.
he takes off the helmet and he goes,
It's me, Austin! Oh, son of a bitch!
Yeah, you see, like that's the. It's like halfway through the movie when he takes off the helmet, and that's when you see, okay, he's decided to stop just trying to survive and actually go at him, revealing himself. I'm
Yeah, because
coming
you're
for
right.
you.
He was hiding like the whole
Yeah.
time. You know, he didn't. He was just doing just
he didn't
to
accept
survive.
the
right?
vengeance.
And like
yet.
even when like you see the scenes of him, like every gladiators, they're like ranting or blah blah, and you just see like Maximus in the corner, just like looking down, like doesn't care, just doing this just because he survives, and that's it. You know.
But then he had a purpose that he had to survive to get that bastard. You know.
Yes.
That's when that's one of
When
my
he gave
favorite
him hope,
scenes.
when the Proximo, like the trainer, like the ex gladiator,
Proximus
they gave him
cool.
gave him hope, and he said, you know, like if you become such a legendary, like a legacy of a gladiator, you might become like me, have a legacy, and even meet the emperor in person. And he was like, oh, meet the emperor, perfect. This is what I gotta do.
I have to leave, but I have a question for you guys so that you guys can talk about once I leave. If you were like in Maximus's
Shoes.
you're speaking
Sandals.
for Maximus in a sense, would you think, let's say, would he have chosen love, like complete love, so meaning that he had never had a legacy at all, or a legacy?
I think you choose love
I think he would choose love
because he
too.
loved his, like, he would pray to his
So
wife
like
and child.
no legacy at all, like he never was a warrior, never.
Well,
was
here's the
a
thing:
gladiator.
his legacy is part of the reason why he gets the love.
Mhm.
But that's something I guess you're gonna have to watch. You
Yeah.
little bitch.
Well, I'm saying like, but in the sense of saying like, obviously, we've been saying that he had a legacy, so that legacy was always already there, and so he chose love. But if he had to,
I think he would
one
still
or the
choose
other
love,
completely, you think you would choose love?
for sure.
Like,
Because like from the beginning of the movie, like he just wants to be in his villa
Mhm.
with his wife and his kid. Like that's all he cares about.
yeah,
Yeah.
And then that's
definitely.
why he survives to the end.
Yeah.
But the reason why he has a villa is because of his legacy.
There you,
You
go.
have
Yeah.
a point.
See?
But yeah.
So
I don't think the venue matters to him.
Nah,
No,
doesn't-
it kind of does because it's like because he's able to provide because he has a villa to provide for it and he's able to provide for his children
So-
and his family.
yeah.
Then he gets a greater deal of love from his family, like
Makes
therefore,
sense.
because it's like
Yeah.
the people underneath him are more appreciative of that.
Fair.
So you're leaving.
Unfortunately, yes.
How dare you?
Harry. Was that Hermione?
No, that was fucking Greta Thunberg.
Uh-oh.
No way.
So get the fuck out of here.
But before you leave,
Yeah.
did you have a favorite scene? I wanted to ask this to everyone. What was your favorite scene?
I know it's cheesy, but definitely my favorite scene is obviously when he comes, he goes, "What's your name?" And he just turns his back to him because, like, again, like he doesn't care. Like, you know, he just walks away and he's like, "How dare you turn your back to me?" And his first thing he says is,
How dare you?
Literally.
but like he forces him to show his face, and I find that like an amazing scene.
What about you, Chris?
We'll get into that topic. I have to say the reason why I like what I prefer. Get the fuck out! I need to get that sound effect. Get the fuck out! Hold on. I'll discord him. Panos, can you keep this going?
Sorry, certainly. My favorite scene is when Commodus gets the knife to the fucking jugular.
Oh, yes.
That's a great
So
scene.
satisfying. It's so satisfying, and it's not just because like Joaquin Phoenix's performance made him annoying as shit, but it's also Cause and look, that was the point. So like, job well done, obviously. But also, it's because of what they both represent. They both represent the themes of the film, right? So, like, seeing Maximus's fight for like the right side come through and manifested in a physical manner through a knife to the fucking throat, it's very satisfying. Cause I feel like most people watching the film, they're gonna sympathize with Maximus. Not just because of like what he's been through, but what he stands for.
Yeah.
So it's like a double whammy. It's not just him getting his personal vengeance. It's the right thing for Rome winning over the wrong thing for Rome. Also, it kind of just encapsulates everything. I don't know. It's just everything comes to a head at that scene.
I like my favorite scene. Well, like there's a lot of scenes. Like I find the whole movie is fantastic, but like when Maximus, what's his name? Commodus is like talking to Maximus when he's like in shackles and like in his gladiator armor, and he stabs him and he gives him that monologue, and then they raise him and there's like that heavy orchestra music playing.
Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, like Hans Zimmer the
Really
goat.
good.
Hans Zimmer straight up played fire. And like ultimately my favorite scene is the first scene of the movie where he's like tickling his like hands with his ring, like in the in the field of wheat.
Caressing,
And then,
yes.
yeah.
There's a lot of good shots though.
Yeah,
Like
and
that's
then
actually a
beautiful
well
yeah,
shot.
and then how that first scene, that's the first thing you see in the
Yeah.
movie before the movie starts.
Or when he or like also like when he picks up the dirt
exactly.
before he takes up the
Oh
sword.
yeah, exactly.
Actually, you know what? I think those are my
That
that's
ending.
probably my favorite like
Down to earth
shot
moments. Yeah.
in the film. It's because it's literally him getting down to earth, and like you know because death is so common around them. It really
Elysium.
grounds him. It's literally his career.
Yeah.
You know,
Like he
It's-
wants to get to the field.
That's how
of
he makes a
Elysium.
living, is by ending the living of other people so often. And I think him touching the dirt every time before he touches his sword is him reminding himself to stay humble, and that like he's just as mortal as everyone else around him. And I think though, like just every time there's a shot of him doing that before he picks up his sword, it's very like, I don't know. It's always gorgeously shot.
Yeah.
I really like those two.
And
Yeah,
you
so
mentioned a good point. It's his career, you know, to be a fighter, to be a killer, and
The
that,
gladiator.
exactly. But in that brings me to my favorite scene. It's when he decides to give orders to the fellow gladiator. He
Oh yeah, when he conducts him,
yes.
yeah, that's
it's like him retaking his personality in a way, because he had put it aside. You know, he was mostly depressed the first half of the movie, and fairly
understandable.
So. Yeah, it's normal. But that moment where he decides to take the lead, take charge, and there's some of them who actually fought with him before he says that were some of you at this battle, and some of them like yeah I was there. So just seeing that moment, it gives you hope. Okay, this guy is picking up the reins. He's coming back in strong, and at the same time he has nothing left to lose. Like he's lost everything already. So I
there's
think
nothing holding him back.
Yeah, legacy. Fuck that, man. I want to get revenge. I want to get my hands on that bastard, and
He
he
did.
does. So
But
that's
yeah.
the climax, you know.
But yeah, my favorite scene is definitely the ending. Like that like he finally dies and now we are free.
Ugh.
And then when Juba, his friend,
That buries the little thing on the
Juba
side.
buries his little figurines and is like, I hope you are at peace now, brother.
Brethren.
Maximus collected Black Series.
Maximus collected the pops.
Oh, look at my African American over here.
Oh no. You are not. Absolutely not. No.
What about you, Chris?
What was your favorite scene?
What was your favorite scene in the movie?
All of it.
Can I come back to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
The shots this is kind of neither here nor there. Did you guys notice the color shift between Germania and
Oh yeah, it does slow motions too, man. The way the camera was blurry during the battle at the first scene.
Yeah, no.
And
I think it's deliberate. It's
I love that scene when like he's walking and they're all like general, sir, general. What an epic scene.
Yeah.
What an opening
my lord,
to a movie.
Stormtrooper. My lord, Stormtrooper.
Yes.
Stormtrooper.
And like we were saying at the very start of the podcast, this movie was huge. And I don't know if you've been checking the behind the scenes. And I went digging to find the behind the scenes of the first battle. And man, I swear to God, there was like helicopters throwing fireballs to simulate the catapults. They did
shit.
everything.
Yeah, everything was done,
Everything was on point. So again, big shout out to Ridley.
Every dollar is on screen.
There we go.
Yes.
Practical effects, guys. It makes a difference
Bye.
in movies.
But there was one little mistake. Well, mistake. There was something we couldn't predict it during the fight scenes. One of the carts in the Gladiator arena, one of the carts flips over, and if you pause it at the right time, you can see there's an oxygen tank showing in the middle of the scene. So like these,
shit.
yeah, it's a little detail. Yeah, like Gandalf wearing a watch, or whatever, a plane in the sky in Troy, whatever, It's just it's a little detail, but like you said, so much went into making
So much
this movie.
work went.
And it helps you to connect with them.
Oh yeah.
When it feel like the more the film feels real, the more you're gonna care about the characters. So the more invested you get into like the big climactic moments, and the more you're gonna want to spend your money to watch the movie again.
Yeah.
I'm assuming back then. So like I still don't get why they don't invest in a lot more like making practical effects look
Because
more
I think
real.
nowadays it's more about like producing as many movies that can make them a little bit of
Because
money.
there are so many movies
They're
now that
pumping,
like
pumping movies, man.
that even a movie with great practical effects gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah,
in
like
comparison to
The Last Duel.
Master and Commander.
wow, what a fucking funny.
You should do a podcast on that one with Russell Crowe again. It's him again.
And I'm Jean Verge.
I haven't watched that
watch
movie.
that.
I have to add it to my list.
If you guys liked
Amazing.
this movie, you guys have to see it. Came out last year. It's called The Last Duel, starring Adam Driver and
Heard of
Matt
it.
Damon. It fucking flopped.
Was
it was
it
an
on
excellent
Netflix?
film.
Was
Yeah,
it on
it was a
Netflix?
it was a good movie. No, it was in
It was
cinemas.
released in theaters. It was a theatrical
theatrical.
release.
My
You
dad
couldn't get
watched it,
anywhere.
and yeah, like nobody talked about it. Like it was like those classic,
It was
like
fucking great. It was literally. It felt like this almost.
Because
like,
there's a generational change in what they're making movies. I'm studying in cinema, and like it's not the same as 20 years ago. Like
Yeah, it's
20
not.
years ago, like sword fights, sword and sandal movies were the shit. Like Spartacus, Gladiator. I don't
Troy.
know, Troy. Man, that was awesome. Everyone dug that, but now like. Why are they killing each other? It's like they don't like that anymore. They've gone soft, the way I say it.
Well,
closest thing
now
was
nobody
Game of
gets
Thrones.
killed.
Closest.
They get memed
They get revived like an arrow, for fuck's sake.
like
Arrow.
like in Avengers.
Ugh,
But anyways,
that's another subject.
Yeah. So when it comes to my favorite scene is I think it was not the Colosseum one. I like the one where they were like the general stuff, but I want to name something different. There was the one I think the first fight they had in the small Colosseum.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you actually look up, because I did some research on gladiatorial weapons and stuff that they used, and the weapons that they use is actually like very, very accurate. Like
And the costumes,
like the costumes
fishnets,
and
tank
the
helmet.
they use the fishnet and like the
matchmaking.
trident.
Yes.
Being tied, what do we call it in wrestling?
What?
Being tied together. They were chained together. What's that
Oh,
match
a
a tag
bull-
match.
like a bull rope match, yeah, like a so a strap match.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they were like strapped together. There was this.
strap match.
Oh yeah.
So sponsor of our video, strap match.
Strap match.
Is that Ice JJ Fish?
No, that's I'm Tyrant.
Oh,
And fuck these 4 eyes looking motherfucker. I'm here to fuck your wife. Long dick style.
Hans Zimmer, honestly, like it just proves to you that music without like any just visuals and music and shots could make up like a whole scene of 5 minutes of people talking. Like it makes all the emotions run.
A wise man once said, "If you can't hear a movie, you can't see the movie."
Bro.
That was my
Tenet.
wise old man. Tenet. Yeah, that was the Tenet's soundtrack was to be honest, I think it was one of his least like.
But that wasn't
It wasn't a
Hans,
soundtrack.
actually.
It was just
Let's-
like
Ludwig.
no, I'm saying
yeah,
I'm
let's-
saying that's a point that if you can't hear it, you can't watch the movie.
It was just
Let's
nothing.
get back to the subject because now we're like diverting. I'm gonna answer. Would you rather have love or legacy? And to me, I'd have to disagree with all of you guys. I'd prefer legacy over love.
Look at this cheeky bastard.
Well, I mean, it's
Hey,
kind
fuck
of
you, man.
they answer like they're both kind of the same thing. It's kind of
Well,
what you learn. at the
it's
end.
not. It's
let
not.
the man speak.
Like it's not. I wouldn't say it's the same thing, but they are interchangeable. Like you can have legacy with love, or
They're
love with
complementary.
love with legacy. They are complementary, but which one would you rather have more of? I would say I prefer to have legacy.
And care to explain?
Yeah, but what if
Yeah.
your legacy is you were an absolute garbage human being?
Yeah, but that's like taking it to the extreme. I'm talking about like if I had a choice between one or the other, would I rather spend like every night with my kids, or would I rather spend one night a week with my
Nobody
kids?
wants to spend every night with their
but
kids.
life is just not like that. Life is all about balance. You got to find a balance in
Yeah,
everything. And it is possible.
But like, what is your priority ultimately? Is it to build a
Family.
legacy for your family, or is it to love your family?
Make sure your family are provided for, taken
But-
care of,
well,
and then you can work on your legacy and your
But
image.
isn't your family being provided for sort of you building a legacy for them instead? Like, because what you're doing, like,
You're building your
if-
legacy for your family.
yes. So if let's say you're building a company, and you build that company for many years, and you're doing it so that eventually your kids can go to college or university or whatever, and study the things they want, or even study in the fields that you want, like, or you would need for your company, and then they come in and take over your company once you want to retire. That's your legacy. Your legacy is a higher standard of living for your kids, for example. But if you focus a lot on love, you're not going to put enough time into your legacy, which in my opinion ultimately hurts your ultimate desire to provide for your kids.
But if you see the things the other way around, if you give too much to the legacy, how would your kids feel then?
That's the balance, right? So I think if you want to become a good father and a good father figure to your kids, it's any man who really loves their father usually like has a veneration for their father, as in like they love their father so much to the point where they kind of, that's like their father's like their hero. But the thing is, you can't see a hero all the time. You have to see them like every once in a while. It's like, by every once in a while, I don't mean like
loses
once a
its
month.
prestige once you see it
like
too
like
much.
if you see your father too much, you're like, I think if you see your parents in general too much, you're going to lose respect for them at some point. But if you but you also have to at the same time recognize that the work that they're doing.
But that's necessary to become your own man.
Maybe not
What do you
respect,
mean?
but
You
the
need to
admiration.
see, like, because you can love your father to like hell and high water, but and that doesn't have to change. But when you see things in them that you don't respect anymore, it's important. That's part of good fatherhood too, because that's how you
Absolutely, yeah.
that's how you learn to become your own person. You know, like, I don't agree with my dad on politics a lot of the time. Other times we're on the same page. Like, a lot of things, just getting stuff done around the house, or just our general attitudes towards things. Like, when I stopped agreeing with him on things is when I really started understanding who I was and
Yeah.
what set me apart from him and what I would improve. And then the same thing with my kid. Eventually they're going to look at me and be like, nah, I love you, but like, that's kind of whack. And then they're going to evolve past that as well. It's a generational thing.
But I personally think it's better to
Like,
kind
the
of
death of the image of the hero dad is necessary for a
Your
boy to
own
become a man.
image to grow.
But no, I disagree, because if you always look at your father as a hero, and you always look at your father in a great deal of veneration, then what might end up happening is you're going to do your best to live up to the potential to what your father was, or at least the potential of what your father could have been. If to be a good enough father, you would have to obviously explain to your kids, like, yes, I have these problems, like, oh, I have a drinking problem, I have a gambling problem, whatever. And it's important for the people, or like it's important for your kids to know that. However, I also believe that it's not like just blind devotion to your father. You have to be an example for your kids as well. So it's like, if you're like a great enough example to your kids, and you're not around super often, it's like your father isn't just your father. He's like a hero to you, and he's like the legend of your life. He's like your idol. And I think like that's much more powerful than finding an idol somewhere else and through someone else personally. Now, you guys can disagree, and that's totally fine, but like that's just my point.
At least the rest, I think you mentioned that you might lose respect. I don't think you lose respect. It's just the admiration level just
It goes
Goes
down.
down.
Yeah, so because your admiration level is lower, therefore you're not going to want to at least live up,
Yeah.
or no, you're not going to want to live up to his level, or to what he would want you to be, because then you just be like, yeah, fuck you, dad. Yeah, you just be like,
fuck you.
Hey, fuck you, man.
you'll just be like that to your father, and instead, like, you should at least look at your father as like a guiding figure. You should be able to go to your dad and be like,
Well, that's assuming. I think it just depends on how
you
you
perceive
what
your
your
parents.
baseline is here. Because you could also look at it as your baseline is you love them anyway, and then you want to live up to that, and then when you find something that you dislike, that's the crucible for you surpassing them, not just living up to their example. It's what tells you, oh wait, no, I want to be better than them. Because if all you have is just admiration and you see them as a hero and you never find you never question or you never find like flaws that really irk you, then there's never going to be a motivation to build beyond their legacy. You're just going to want to maintain it, and you're going to keep duping yourself into thinking, oh, I just have to live up to this. When the image of the hero parent breaks down, that's when boys and girls become men and women, that like their own men and women. And that's when they're like, no, this is like, I'm going to change some things and I'm going to build on this.
But let's say your father is a great man.
He is.
But let's say
Papa.
Yeah.
so let's say your father is like by great man I mean like an exceptionally great man, like he's a like
general.
Right, let's
he's
say
like a
those
millionaire,
people who are
like
popular
like a millionaire, popular, etc. Like let's say your father's someone like Maximus,
Like
Okay.
how would his son
or
react to
Marcus
him?
or Marcus Aurelius. Wouldn't you want to live up to your father's legacy?
No, because I'm my own man.
Like, I got a question for you guys.
Shut up, bitch!
Let's say we could read his son's mind in the afterlife. What would his son think about his dad with everything that he's done? What do you think? Do
I
you
think he would have been
proud?
a very
I
proud
think
son.
I think he would be very proud.
like
Genuine, like if you look at the admiration on his face, like I think that's what every parent wants.
But also, let's say his kid was older and
Yeah,
dead older, but
my
like
point
knows
was
that his
more-
dad's action might have caused his own demise. At the same time, it's like that. There's two points of views. Like my dad fucked up and it cost me my mom and my life. But at the same time, he's just a badass. At the same time, he's this great man. So
I think
it's a bit of
I think he
complexity
would
in
have
it.
like again, like I think a lot of younger folk, like I say that as if I'm
we're
old
old as fuck. My knees.
Hey.
crack.
I'm 42 years old.
My back.
My neck. My back.
My foot.
And my
Boobies!
so Commodus. So what did you notice anything specific about Commodus's like desire to seek love?
He wanted it very aggressively. Let's put it that way.
Like he wanted it just to.
He wanted to be loved because I feel like he feels like a failure because like he was like his dad was not ashamed of him.
He has
but, like,
probably never felt it before.
yeah.
And he sees it all around him, and he's never genuinely
And he
felt
wants that
it.
feeling.
So he keeps trying to artificially create it through these superficial means of like these very showboaty kind of things. Like he doesn't look for
He's the
a
one who keeps getting
single.
checks.
He doesn't look for a single genuine relationship with another human being, the whole time.
Apart from his sister.
But
Apart
yeah,
from-
like
yes, his sister. Ooh.
And she likes Maximus, so that doesn't help him either.
Yeah, like I think the fact that he cucked out for Maximus basically for his sister.
Commodus Targaryen. Actually, it's more like Commodus Lannister, I guess.
Commodus the broken.
I mean, Targaryen works. remember when he goes, like even him. I think he also wants legacy. Like he was talking about how. I remember once he captured Maximus, and he was like looking over the city, and he was like, "Oh, all the proper senators have been captured, and all of them have been arrested." And then he was talking about like how he wanted to be known as Commodus the Merciful, and then he sees his
can be Commodus the merciful.
Commodus the Merciful. It's like, and then he grabs his sister's face, and she's like crying.
Gonna cry?
Gonna cry.
Am I not merciful?
Astro.
Give me what I want!
No, sickle mode sound effect.
But yeah, Commodus was he was a
He's
pretty-
weird. He's weird.
He was a
He was-
piece of.
But there
doo-doo,
was
bro.
one scene I liked with him, and it's
Which is?
very hard to say. And again, it's in the battle, the arena, and it's again why I was mentioning Hans Zimmer. We all know he did Pirates of the Caribbean, and for that tiny second where what was his name? The friend.
Juba.
Juba throws the sword. Maximus catches it on his horse, and the music is dun 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 dun. It's like it resembles a lot Pirates of the
That's
Caribbean.
the Gladiator theme, and it's basically like literally the same theme as like the Pirates of the
Because
Caribbean.
the same guy did it. But
Yes.
at that moment, you see Commodus like breaking the fourth wall. He's like, woohoo, the hero, you know? And that little moment, without that scene, I think the movie would be just different. There's just that little moment
and then he like,
oh,
I think
look at the hero.
I think there was a part where Maximus slices like one of the guys.
Yeah,
like, on the
yeah. That's before he knew his identity. He was like, damn, this guy's
It's like when Harry Potter cuts to Voldemort just being like, the boy who lived is that come to die.
when he yells to break the shield. Like,
You have to see the sound waves. It's
But
the
then
funny.
it's like, at the end of the fifth movie, it's like Harry's having a seizure on the floor at the end, and it just cuts randomly to Voldemort being like, like, I don't know. Just every time it twitches.
you're gonna have to add that sound effect.
Harry Potter is dead.
The greatest climax.
Stupid girl.
You stupid woman!
After what was it? Ginny?
Ginny.
Should get the Weasley
girl.
mom saying,
Louise.
"You bitch."
Shut up, bitch!
So we talked about Love and Legacy.
Do we have any final points to?
I know you wrote down a novel, Panos.
Please share.
No, I was gonna say that it was just something I noticed about the most iconic, like the whole "Are you not entertained?" thing. Like, I don't know. I watched it with someone, and then they were like, "Okay, like, why is he getting so triggered? He doesn't really care about if they're entertained or not, like that way. Like, why is he taking it so? Why is he getting so butthurt?" But then I thought about it, and I was saying that Proximo tells Maximus not to butcher, but to entertain. Like, that's the advice he gives him, right? But Maximus says he can't do that because, like, to him it's like about putting demons to rest, right?
What do you mean?
And he kills
like-
to save, not to entertain.
Yeah, he kills to eliminate evil, not just for jokes. So, like, I don't know. I was thinking that the whole like that's why he's furious when he asks like that whole legendary question, "Are you not entertained?" I feel like he's not seriously asking. He's kind of just telling them like, "Fuck you, you people are miserable."
And this is what it takes for you to be happy, to see
Exactly.
death in
Yeah,
live
exactly.
action. This is what it
Exactly.
takes.
It's like, to you guys it's a joke, but to him he understands the weight of every life he's taken.
Go in the front lines. Let's go. Go in the front lines. See how it is. Like, that's his experience. You know, he went up the grades. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you looked at him and you want to go like.
And I think that's also part of like, and that whole thing, like kind of just the whole way Rome was tilting at that point. That I think that's also why, even though he's in touch with senators, that at a point doesn't he like he hides his tattoo or he removes his tattoo?
He removes his tattoo.
He removes his tattoo, right? Because at a point he realized it's like
Seal mark.
this is not what I fought for.
Oh.
Like at that point, right? Like he senatus populusque Romanu. It's the Senate for the people of Rome, right? The
Yeah.
Senate is meant to serve the people of Rome.
That's what SPQR means, by the way.
Yeah, and like, you know, so I think that's also part of why he removes the tattoo there, is because like he realizes like the Rome he's been fighting for isn't the Rome in front of him now.
It's just the dream.
Yeah,
a dream.
or he
It's
fought
just
for the ideals, and the reality's really different at that point.
Maybe it was possible under the rule of Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah,
It
And
was
that's why he's
possible, and it
pissed.
died with him.
because he's been fighting for that his whole life, and it was tangible for a long time, and then now it's become like very trivial and it's become a joke to these people, the weight of death, and that's what pisses him off.
Anyway, it's funny we mentioned it. The only way this Rome could have continued is if he took. and
Yeah,
continued.
exactly. There you
Like
go.
the reason he's pissed at the same time, it could be because he didn't take the opportunity to.
He's just very angry about a lot of things.
But in his shoe, you're like, you don't know what to do in that place. Like you said, the game is dangerous. You don't want to expose.
Yeah, I don't
yourself
blame
too
him,
much, and
but he did make.
it's
the wrong
understandable.
decision. Yeah, but it's definitely understandable.
Yeah. Now, if we were going like cross universal stuff, I don't think Anakin would have liked Maximus.
I don't think so either.
You know why?
I don't like sand.
On that note, we will end it. Like and subscribe.
I'm twitching. Yeah, like, please. Yeah.
Like
it, guys.
Like the
Like.
video. Subscribe to the channel. This podcast will be coming out every week. I try to release it around Thursdays and Fridays, depending on how long the videos take to edit. So, on that note, all I have to ask is,
Are you not entertained?
Let us know in the
but you were,
comments.
Let us know.
am I not merciful?
Hey.